Honduras. There's history between these countries on the pitch, and it's not friendly. Last June, Les Rouges tried to ignite the fire, but 18 fouls and 3 suspensions later, Canada left San Pedro Sula soaking wet with a 2-1 loss. Both teams know tonight's game could get heated. John Herdman wants his players to step up to the challenge. No more sorries, no more excuse me's. A berth to the Nations League Final Four is there for the taking, and it's next on One Soccer. It's a crisp night along the lakeshore in Toronto, Ontario. The Canadian men returned to BMO Field for the first time in over a year. In fact, it was March 27th, the night they officially clinched the World Cup spot with a win over Jamaica. 2 lineup changes for John Herdman's squad tonight as they look to avenge the loss last time out against Honduras. So let's get you ready for the action. Fans are ready for the action, high-fiving the players. Head coach John Herdman making their way inside BMO Field. And we make our way here inside our One Soccer studio. Hello, everyone. Andi Petrillo alongside Jimmy Brennan and Jordan Wilson. The Canadians coming off a 2-0 win over Curacao on Saturday. And that officially made them a top 2 team in the standings, which means they have qualified for the Gold Cup this summer. But now the next order of business is qualifying for the Nations League Final Four, which will be held in June in Vegas. So here are the scenarios. Because seeding has already been done, Canada knows that a win will help them avoid USA and Mexico in the semis. Later tonight, Costa Rica and Panama play, so we'll know which one of them move on. If Canada draws, they'll be seeded 4th and face the United States. If they lose, which is the worst case scenario, they are out. They will not finish first in the group. They will not move on. It will be Honduras. So other than the obvious, Jimmy, which is you always love to win, go out, get the win, move on. If they do draw, they still move on, but they play the United States. Is that a good thing, bad thing? Are you scared if they face the U.S.?
No, I'm not scared at all. I think the managers would be, and the coaching staff. They're probably looking at it and thinking, oh, maybe we should try to stay away from USA and Mexico. But I think the belief that's in this squad right now and the players, I don't think the players care who they're going to play.
Yeah. Looking at this Canada team, I think they can beat anyone. Anyone in Concacaf. I think they can go, if there's a U.S. team to play, I think it's this one. I think if you asked me 10 years before, or even I'm sitting next to one of my idols, if they were going against Canada 20 years ago, if they're going against the U.S. 20 years ago, I'd be a bit skeptical. But now I feel like this is the time. I think Canada could do damage.
And I'm assuming that's because of World Cup qualifying and not losing against the United States. There was a draw, there was a win, it was the same thing against Mexico. Do you feel that that is something that's carried over? That wasn't a fluke, that wasn't lightning in a bottle, that is something that can be carried over?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said before, they've got so much confidence, this team. They're exciting, they're fun to watch. And when you look at the players now, we've got players that are playing in top clubs around the world. And still now, the next group that's coming through, the younger ones, people want these young Canadian players now, and they're going to get big moves. I mean, Buchanan is next for me. He'll move on to a big club. And then the more players that we get playing at the highest level, the better we're going to be. But this squad right now, they're dynamic and they're fun to watch.
And don't you need that attitude, Jordan, that if you're Canada, I mean, don't get me wrong, you always want the path of least resistance, right?
For sure.
You want the easiest way to get to the final. But are you not sitting there going, I don't care if we face the U.S.?
I think outside of talking with Gaff here, we're talking about confidence. Outside of confidence, there's belief with this group. They make me believe. I feel like, hey, Canada's going against any group or any team. I feel like they can come out victors. So I will say, getting to a final, anything can happen. So maybe the easiest path, I hate using that word, but the easiest path might be better. Because a final is just one game and you know that there's something out of it. Semifinals is like you got close, but then you could just fall and fail. But I believe in this group. I feel like they can go all the way.
Easiest path, that's my life. Now, maybe you don't know the history here. If you hear Jordan, he keeps calling Jimmy Gaffer, York United, there's the connection, manager, player.
You have to have respect.
No, but at some point, I do expect some disagreement.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, we disagreed a lot of times.
Of course.
Just making sure. Don't play completely nice here tonight. Let's bring you to the starting 11 for Canada, brought to you by GE. We have a couple changes here. So Kennedy will move on over to the middle, replacing Stephen Vittori. Alistair Johnston comes back in. He was suspended that last game against Curacao. So Alistair comes on in. And Tajon Buchanan, who's been nursing something. We know in that last game against Club Brugge, he had come in a little injured, even though he came in as a sub in that Curacao game. He now gets the start here. So to talk more about the the starting 11. Let's send it inside BMO Field. Kristian Jack with John Herdman.
John, let's talk about the changes. Tajon Buchanan back in. What does Tajon allow you to do that you don't have when he's in there?
I think he's very direct. I thought Richie Laryea was brilliant against Curaçao. But with a 2-day turnaround, we needed some freshness in the team. I think that was always going to be a challenge, the Saturday night game. We know Honduras have been here waiting, just waiting for us coming. So, you know, to get Ali Johnston, Tajon in with that freshness is great. And Tajon, he likes to get in behind, so you'll see a bit more verticality from him.
Alistair Johnson, you mentioned, is the other change back from suspension. He looks like an even better player since he's been playing in Scotland. What have you seen over the last few months?
Well, he's got bigger. He's definitely got bigger. He's, you know, he just looks more powerful as an athlete. And it's just confidence. You feel it when these players are going in championship teams and the pressure's on them, big games. They carry that confidence back. We've seen that with Fonzie, Eustachio, Tajon, and now Ali. Like I say, the more we can get these lads playing in these top competitions, makes a difference for us.
Last one for you, John. International football takes you all around the world. You've been to the Middle East, you've been to Europe, you played in the US during some of the pandemic World Cup qualifiers. You're back home, you haven't lost here since 2010. What does it mean to you to coach Canada at home?
It's the best. I mean, we just had that entrance coming in, and there's all sorts, from grandparents to the next generation of kids wanting to get autographs, and people are passionate here. As I say, I think that World Cup qualifying really lit the fire for a lot of new people who are new to this sport, but really has got the hardcore fans excited again to support our country, and they turn out an hour and a half before a game to greet them. It's like a proper football entry for a cup final team. So it's just proud, Kristian, always proud, and we work hard behind the scenes just to give it our best for as long as we can.
Appreciate your time, John. All the best.
Thanks.
Let's talk about one of the players he was mentioning there in Jordan. Of course, that's Alistair Johnson back in the lineup, plying his trade with Celtic over in Scotland. How does he change the complexion of this starting 11?
Outside of his stature and power, I want to address his character. This is a guy, when he plays, he plays with so much passion, and he plays, it's almost invigorating. It's something that's infectious. The way he goes into tackles, the way that he's disciplined, the way that he reads the game, he makes me want to play. And the thing is, with guys like that, is like if you're doing those tackles, if you're working hard, you're kind of passing it on to the next person around you. So I want him to go play another 31 straight for Canada, and he's a guy that is just, he can't be replaced.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he brings so much to this team as well. The energy that he has. I love the way that he plays. He's aggressive. He's got that little bit of bite as well. And you could see that his teammates feed off him as well. And he's a leader. And now he's at a monster club with Celtic right now. He's only going to improve and get better and better. And he's so valuable to this squad.
What's that competition like? Right? Because Herdman wants his players playing over in Europe. He wants them getting that stiffer competition. What's that like in Scotland?
The Scottish football? No, but look, if you're at Celtic or Rangers, I mean, they're huge clubs. They're well known around the world. And I think this is a great spot for him. But I'm sure in time he'll probably want to go to the Premier League. And most players want to test themselves. They want to play as high as they can and get to the biggest clubs that they can do. But I can see him moving on to that next level, and I can see him playing in the English Premier League for sure.
Well, you mentioned one player who you feel is going to move on. That, of course, is Tajon Buchanan. Do you think, if he's not already, does he have that potential to be the best two-way player on this squad?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I love watching him. And when you see a player who wants to take players on and express themselves, and John Herdman does that. He gives them the belief, the confidence, and especially in that final third, he wants them to take players on. We were watching training yesterday, and when you're up close, you don't realize how big he is. Mm-hmm. He is a big boy, and he is rapid. And, you know, he's an absolute nightmare for defenders because every opportunity he gets, he wants to run at players. So for me, I love watching him, and it's, you know, especially being a Canadian, you want to see players like that love to take people on and express themselves when they play.
They're a joy to play against, those players. You give them the ball, you watch some magic happen. But the thing I love about Tajon is that he has a chip on his shoulder. Like, that's how it seems when I watch him play. He's like, yeah, give me the ball. I want to show what I can do. I should have been here before. I'm going to go the highest level. That's the way he plays. So I trust him. Hey, if I'm a Canadian player right now, I'll give him the ball and watch him work.
Yeah.
Let's see if he can reach that full speed here tonight, because, of course, that was the concern there, not wanting to injure that hamstring anymore. But he definitely is a strong player that this team relies on. They also rely on their goal scorers. To talk more about the strikers up front, let's send it back to KJ. This time he's alongside Ian Hume.
Joined by Ian Hume, over 40 caps for Canada, over 150 professional goals in your career, to talk about the two strikers right now who are doing exactly that, scoring lots of goals, Kyle Larin and Jonathan David for this Canadian men's national team. Let's talk about Kyle first, obviously the record holder for this team at the moment. If you were playing with Kyle, how would you play with him right now, and what are you seeing in his game?
Just put it in the box for him. No, he's in phenomenal form right now. He's had some ups and downs. We all know that at club level. With Canada, he always does what you ask, and the guy just scores goals, and he's been incredible since he broke through when he was at Orlando, and up until now, to continue doing it at that level, it's phenomenal.
As a striker, Hume, when you go through those rough patches like you had at the beginning of the season in Belgium, and then suddenly you go somewhere else and you get hot like you've done in your career, what does that do for your confidence the moment you step on the pitch? It's
every time you touch the ball, you think it's going in. He's a strong character. He knows what it takes to hit the back of the net. If he hits a rough patch, at the end of the day, he goes out with confidence, and hitting the back of the net's what he knows how to do. So he knows it's going to happen, and if the guys around him creating chances, then there's only one place the ball's ending up.
Let's talk about his partner in crime, Jonathan David, who's got more goals per game than any player this season in Liga. That, by the way, is a league including guys like Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi. That's a pretty good stat. Jonathan David, what as a striker do you think impresses you the most about him?
His awareness, finding small holes, getting in behind the back line. When he has to come off and hold it up, he lays it off, gets in the box where he knows his bread's buttered. Like he does everything right. Obviously he has a lot to learn, and he knows that, but he's at such a high level now that we can nitpick at little things like that. But the guy's just scoring goals, and he's playing well. And like you said, in a league like he's in with players like Mbappe and Neymar and Messi, it's no mean feat that he's at the top of that.
I know you were joking earlier about just putting it in the box, but seriously, when you play with a player like Jonathan David, who sometimes likes to come ball to feet, what are some of the characteristics that you need to do to get the best out of a player like that?
Create space for him. So you give the ball into him and be unselfish, run away from the ball, like try and drag a defender out. And you can see they have that understanding, him and Larin, and when Cavallini was in there and you got Alphonso Davies, you got threats everywhere. So if they only pay attention to Jonathan David, somebody else is going to do it. So be unselfish, run away from the ball, create space for him, and the quality he's got left, right, and his touch on the ball and his awareness is phenomenal. So you just got to keep doing that. Give him the ball and just say here you go.
43 caps for Canada, Hume. What would you have done for 44 just to play one more game with these two up front?
Anything. I had to give up the other 43. I'm not going to lie. It's a phenomenal group and a phenomenal group of players, and to be a part of that would have been amazing.
Well, to be part with you is amazing too. No one loves Canadian soccer better than this man, Ian Hume. A pleasure to speak with him. Jonathan David, no men's player has scored more goals as an international player being born in this century. And that list includes Erling Haaland.
Yay, and we all officially feel old. Thank you, KJ, as we bring you Honduras' starting 11, brought to you by GE. And this is a team the last couple of years that the Canadians have gone toe-to-toe with. They've drawn them. They've beaten them, but the last time out was a 2-1 loss in Concacaf Nations League in Honduras. And the Hondurans also know top spot on the line here with a trip to the Final Four of Concacaf Nations League. Well, he's the longest standing player for the Canadian men. He's the leader, and he's being honored before tonight's game for reaching the century mark in caps. After Curacao, he actually has 102. Yes, we're talking that man right there, the man who doesn't age. That is Atiba. We're talking him next on One Soccer. Stay with us. It's Canada versus Honduras. The Canadian Championship is bigger than ever, with a record 14 clubs set to clash this year for a chance to lift the coveted Voyageurs Cup.
It has finally arrived.
It's a competition that has created some of Canada's most breathtaking football moments. A competition whose big prize includes a berth into the 2024 Concacaf Champions League.
Good cross, Brennan!
Watch every match of the 2023 Canadian Championship on one channel, One Soccer.
Champions again!
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
It looks like we're headed towards
And many people's dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about my money situation.
Oof, it's stressful to talk about.
Oscar, come here.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps.
It's never too late to start.
Good portfolio.
Back with saving for my first down payment.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota BZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
For life's transitions, working from home, and even small businesses, life gets better when you have space. With no long-term contracts or leases, get the size you need. First 4 weeks free. Access Storage. Proud partner of Canada Soccer's men's national team.
For over 20 years, we've had the pleasure of watching Atiba Hutchinson represent the Maple Leaf at countless Gold Cups and World Cup qualifiers. And last year, at the age of 39, his dream of representing his country on the biggest stage finally came true. He looks back on what was a memorable journey.
They've done it! Canada is going to the World Cup!
The build-up towards that game, just all, the excitement around the city, the country. Everybody was just really, really excited, and we're all looking forward to that game. Obviously, a lot of nerves, hours before the game, a few days before that, but it was that moment that we were all waiting for so long. It was an amazing day. The turnout here in the stadium was, electric. The fans were on fire, and the support we got from them was, it really helped us and put us in that position. So it was a great day. Amazing memories from it, and it was something I think, myself and a lot of other Canadians had dreamt of for many, many years, and for it to actually happen that day was great. A few days before the game, just the nerves start coming in, and it's just so surreal, I know for us, that moment going out onto the pitch, we wanted to, do a lot of big things, and just that feeling that we all had, it was something that you can't really describe it until you're in that moment. You just feel like a little kid, to be honest. It's exactly what you have been dreaming of, and that moment comes, and it just doesn't feel real, A lot of nerves. For me, I never felt like that my whole career. I had so much just running through my mind, through my body, and yeah, great feeling. The most important for me was, that we were in the World Cup, and we wanted to go out there and really, show that we could play with the best of them. That was our mindset. We wanted to win every game we possibly could. Obviously, we were unfortunate in doing so, but I think we have to be proud of what we did. We played some good stuff out there, and of course, I take a lot of pride in what I do. I've worked, my whole life, my whole career at just giving my best, for the teams I'm a part of, and representing this country, and to experience that. I've got that chance to play 100 times, and for it to be at a World Cup, it's a dream, really. So, I was extremely proud of it, although, on that day we didn't get a result. But overall, when you look back at all, the times and the amount of times I've represented the country, I'm just I'm proud. Obviously I've put in a lot of work, so I can, hold my head up high. We're a team now. We're in a position where we know that we need to go out there and perform and to win. We want to be winning trophies. We've set ourselves up where, we can play against the best of them, but we're missing that experience in holding trophies and, being the best here in Concacaf. I think we've shown over the cycle of qualifying that we can be there at the top, but that's something that's missing. So
like you said, it's a quick turnaround for us, but that's our mindset right now. We want to be ready for what's coming. We want to continue to play the way we've been playing, keep the standard high, and you know, there's a lot of young guys that are coming into the mix, and I think they need to see where this team is at. You know, we're really making it something special. It's a new Canada, as we've said many times, but now it's about winning, you know, trophies, and we've got 2 coming up in the summer. This game here tomorrow is going to be very important for us to be there in the summer, playing you know, in the semifinals and finals. So yeah, it's our way of going out there and just showing, you know, that we want to be there and playing to win.
Atiba coming so close to getting that tying goal against Morocco in the final group stage game at the World Cup. Not meant to be, but he's a valuable voice in that room. What role will he play this summer? You heard him say it. They are going to be in the Gold Cup. The draw will happen on April 14th. Before that, we have the women in action, a tune-up against France for their World Cup this summer, which will be jointly hosted by Australia and New Zealand. The Canadian Premier League triple header, that kicks off the weekend of April 15th, and then on April 18th, it's the first round, the preliminary round of the Canadian Championship. Well, kickoff is just around the corner, and when we return, KJ joins us from inside BMO Field to talk about Alphonso Davies starting back-to-back games as a left wing back. Are his days as a forward with the national team over? Let's discuss next on One Soccer.
For life's transitions, working from home, and even small businesses, life gets better when you have space. With no long-term contracts or leases, get the size you need. First 4 weeks free. Access Storage. Proud partner of Canada Soccer's men's national team.
The 2023 Canadian Premier League season kicks off Saturday, April 15th with last year's finalist Atletico Ottawa facing a new-look Halifax Wanderers side. The CPL is on one channel. It's One Soccer.
How do you go from the best to the ultimate? You choose the big, bold, ultimate taste of ultimate chicken sausages and ultimate chicken hot dogs. Choose Ultimate, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
Ooh, this does not look good for Canada.
They may need to send someone in to replace Kyle Larin.
Send him in.
I'm in it! I'm coming!
Never have I seen anything like this before.
I think it's you. Is that a shawarma?
Habibi!
Boom! That's Osmos, baby.
We're making what you're craving, Osmos.
New Degree Advanced. First ever 72-hour non-stop protection with motion sense. Tested to the limit. And proven.
Still feeling dry and fresh.
72-hour non-stop protection however much you move.
Canada's women's national team looked to rebound following an up-and-down showing at the She Believes Cup. Next up, a massive pre-Women's World Cup tune-up on European soil as Canada's Olympic champs meet the 5th-ranked French in Le Mans. Join One Soccer on Tuesday, April 11th, as a pair of World Cup contenders look to fine-tune ahead of this summer's main event.
Sinclair ties the match!
It's Les Rouges versus Les Bleus, and it's only on one channel, One Soccer. Players warm up done inside BMO Field. Stephen Eustachio, Tajon Buchanan. Now they're going to go warm up a little bit. Alistair Johnson, Kennedy. Yep, that's him, the masked man, as Canada is getting set to play Honduras. And you know who's not far from them? It's our Kristian Jack, who is inside BMO Field getting set for this Nations League match. In studio, Andy, Jimmy, Jordan. KJ, we showed the starting 11, only 2 changes, so we will see Alistair Johnston back in. Richie Larea comes out. Tajon Buchanan also goes back in. But something else that caught our eye was Alphonso Davies, back-to-back games now as a left wing-back. Does that seem to be the position where John Herdman is like, all right, in the past I know I played you as a forward, but I think that's what's best for you and what's best for the team?
Yeah, it's a fascinating discussion, isn't it, Andy? And it's quite enlightening, really. I mean, we can only learn from the evidence that is shown in front of our eyes. And we have to say the facts are that Alphonso Davies didn't play that position during World Cup qualifying. In fact, John Herdman would go on and tell us in the media quite often Alphonso Davies sees himself as an attacking player for the men's national team. What happened then we got to the World Cup, the first game against Belgium, the lineups come out, and Alphonso Davies was playing as a left wing back. That didn't last that long. It changed during the match, and then we saw him play on the right-hand side, particularly against Morocco, where John Herdman admitted he couldn't trust him to play against someone like Ashraf Hakimi, and he played up front. So I think it's fascinating in these games where, quite frankly, they are inferior opponents to what they performed in Qatar with, that we're now seeing him in that position where he plays for Bayern, but he didn't necessarily play that way for Canada. So I think it's a bit of a power move from John Herdman to say this is the best for the balance of the team. It's always been we before me with this national team, and it's certainly fascinating to see him playing in that position again, even though there'll be a bit more of a free license to play if they're winning the game.
And we know, Jimmy, that John has made a point of telling us he spent time with Bayern at the time Nagelsmann, but also the sports psychologist with that club, and he really wanted to see what was also best for Alphonso Davies. That seems to be the position.
I think so. I think that's when he's at his best as well, when he comes from deep, because his pace, defenders can't control it. Sometimes when you're playing a little bit higher up and you've got lots of pace, he finds it hard at times because the defenders can read it and they can slow him down. But when he's coming from deep, for me, that's when he's at his best. He does it at Bayern Munich, and what John wants as well is how you are performing at Bayern Munich, you have to perform the exact same way with his Canadian national team.
Yeah, and you definitely have a lot more runway when you're speedy like that. You know, KJ, when you also look at this team, and you look on the opposite end as well in Tajon Buchanan, and just with the way that David and Larin have been playing, do you think that would have made the conversation easier for John Herdman to say to Davies, look at the way everyone's performing. This is literally the formation that is best for us?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think ultimately Alphonso Davies is the poster child for this, obviously for this team. But has he been the best player? I mean, he's just been awarded the 2022 Player of the Year behind me in an award show that obviously brought the fans out their seats here. So he was given that award, and I think at times he is the best player. But I think there's a challenge now to say, can you be the best player in every game? Look at what Kyle Larin's doing. Look at what Tajon Buchanan's doing. Look at what Jonathan David are doing. And you that level. And I think it comes down to this, and Jimmy will know this as much as Jordan would, it comes down to the trust factor from the manager. Sometimes he can be the best player, but is he the most trustworthy and able to do what the manager needs in that position? I think he's going to get more out of him, and he can start to trust him more. At the end of the day, he's been the best left back in the country, best left back in the world for a long time. In many people's minds, I think it's time for him to start showing that now in the Canada shirt as well, and I think he will.
Great stuff, KJ. We'll check in with you later on. Enjoy the match. And I mean, Alphonso Davies is dynamic, but you want to see him look his best, you want to see the team look its best.
He is dynamic, but I think him taking it to another level is coming and doing it for Canada as well, at that left wing back position. Because as Jimmy said, him bombing forward, it's terrifying. I wouldn't want to be playing against him.
How do you defend against that? That's so true. He is speedy. He's going to be taking to the pitch momentarily because kickoff right now is just around the corner. Because coming up, it's Canada hosting Honduras in Concacaf Nations League, a trip to the Final Four on the line. When we return, we'll take you inside the stadium in Toronto for the Atiba ceremony. The fans are ready. They're waving their flags, honoring his 100 caps. Canada men's national team on One Soccer is brought to you by the Toyota Corolla family.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota VZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
New degree advanced. First ever 72-hour nonstop protection with motion sense. Tested to the limit and proven.
Still feeling dry and fresh.
72-hour nonstop protection however much you move.
Think you've seen tough? You've seen nothing. When you're absolutely drenched and still take the final shot? Not even a challenge. Playing extra time under the beating hot sun. Hardly sweating. When the wind's so chilling it cuts to the bone, now we're getting somewhere. Playing in Canada's tough. We're not sorry about it. Want to beat us? Come on. We're made for this.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
Beautiful night in Toronto, Ontario, inside BMO Field. The Canadian men getting set to host Honduras. It's the final game in the group stage of Concacaf Nations League. A win sees Canada top the group. They move on to the Final Four, which will be in June. They will avoid playing the United States and Mexico. If they draw, they can still move on, but they will play the United States. And then, of course, if they lose, they're out. They don't even want to think about that because they have been talking about lifting trophies. They want this to be the year. Last time they did that, 2000, the Gold Cup. We'll be heading inside BMO Field in just a moment. There's going to be a ceremony honoring 100 caps for Atiba Hutchinson. He made his debut in 1999. He actually has 102 now, so that'll be a special moment. We'll get you inside for that live. Andy, Jimmy, Jordan. I do want to touch a little bit on the midfield here because it does seem like John Herdman has found something. Eustachio has pretty much been a stalwart there. Oso now is looking good, feeling good. We know he's had his concussion problems before that he's fought back from. Had a chance to speak to him yesterday. He's like, having gone through all that, I appreciate even more my health and how free I now feel back on the pitch. And then the young Kone. Once again, you know, back-to-back starts here for him. How do you like that midfield trio?
I love it. I love the way that they play. I like how they interchange. They know exactly where they are on the pitch at all times. And they have that little rotation as well to create space and try to get on the ball and play. So for me, I think you're going to see a different performance in that center midfield than what we did against Curacao. Curacao, they had troubles as well playing on that pitch. It was a little bit bobbly. Whereas tonight, being at home on grass, I think you're going to see them control the midfield today.
All three of them are technical and they can interchange. Eustachio, for me, he can hold it down and primarily as a 6. But you got Oso and Kone that can go the 8 and be box to box.
All right, let's get to the Atiba Hutchinson ceremony, national anthems, and then kickoff. Enjoy the match. We'll see you at halftime.
To center field as we take this opportunity to recognize a men's national team legend who recently achieved an historic first for Canadian men's national team athletes. A legendary midfielder, Atiba Hutchinson, marked his 100th appearance for Canada while representing our nation at the FIFA World Cup, becoming the first Canadian male player to reach this achievement. On hand to congratulate Atiba is Canada Soccer General Secretary Earl Cochrane, Canada Soccer men's national team alumni Julian de Guzman, and Atiba's parents Myrtle and Dalton. Fans, please join us in welcoming to the field Canada's leader, Atiba Hutchinson. As part of today's ceremony, Atiba is being presented the match ball from the FIFA World Cup match in which he made his 100th appearance against Croatia. Please join us in once again congratulating Atiba on his incredible career with Canada and the substantial impact he has had on this sport in our country. Fans, please rise for the national anthem of Honduras. Fans, please remain standing. Raise your red and white proudly in the air and join together in singing "O Canada."
A year and a day after punching their World Cup ticket, Canada back inside their fortress, where the mission tonight is simple. Win or draw and punch another ticket, this time to the Concacaf Nations League final in Las Vegas this June. For the fourth time in 19 months, it's Canada facing Honduras, a tie that's been very competitive. A win, draw, and a loss for Canada in the previous three, and the visitors tonight need an outright win to advance to stop a flourishing and convincing Canada side in their tracks. That won't come easy, with Canada now undefeated in 13 years at BMO Field here in Toronto. And the Kings of the North, well, they're destined to add CONCACAF to their crown. John Herdman returns to the touchline tonight for Canada after serving a match ban for Saturday's 2-0 win at Curacao. He brings along with him two changes to the team that won